Dr. Jeff talks love. Dr. Jeff talks life. Answers your questions, cuts through the strife. Sex and intimacy, real and true. Evidence-based, made just for you.
Hello, everyone. This is Susan Kellogg-Spadt, and I'm here with my esteemed guest, Dr. Emily Sauer, and we're going to be talking about collision dyspareunia today. We're here to pitch hit for Jeff, who's on vacation, and we're very excited to have you with us. Emily, can you hear me?
Can. Oh my gosh. Also, I have never been called a doctor in my life. And while
Oh,
it feels nice, I can't take credit. I'm
sorry, you're
very,
the doctor of sex. Okay, fair enough.
I'll
All
take
right.
it.
All right, my mistake. So let me tell you a little bit about Emily first. Emily is the CEO and inventor by necessity of the Pelvic People, which is a company that has emerged as a pivotal health innovation company driven by her own experience of having painful sex. I hope that's okay that I said that.
Great.
After 10 plus years of being dismissed by people in the healthcare community as like, have some wine, relax, you examined, the examination looks fine, you look great. Emily actually took matters into her own hands, literally, and dreamed up a way for people that have pain initially. Her dream was people who have pain with deep thrusting and deep penetration. How could we give them a tool to have less pain in that space? Because she knew she wasn't crazy. She wasn't imagining that, but unfortunately, the healthcare community was of no use to her in the early days. This
Yeah.
has now turned into a wonderful company that she's going to talk about that actually creates tools for 100, almost 120 million people that have painful sex. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And it is my pleasure to introduce Emily Sauer, CEO of the
Yay!
Pelvic People. Okay, Emily, my question is, how did this all begin?
Oh, it all began. I had the experience of deep pain during sex for over a decade, for my entire adult existence, and was dismissed by the medical system. I even had a GYN who told me that the only problem with my body was that I wasn't getting any, which was very upsetting. In hindsight, at the time I was like, okay, yeah, maybe that is my issue. It's like we internalize these things, especially when we ask our trusted resources, which is the medical system, and they tell us that nothing is wrong, then we have nothing to blame but ourselves. And for me with deep dyspareunia, it was interesting because I could still have sex, just not like specific positions, and I had no idea what was causing it.
Mhm.
But at a low point, I just felt completely powerless in a body that I didn't understand. And every time sex was painful, it was just this reminder that I wasn't the person who I wanted to be or who I
Mhm.
thought that I was inside. I wasn't
Mhm.
the partner I wanted to be. And I was just like an utter disappointment. And so, I guess long story short, in a car ride with a friend, I like had never disclosed that sex was painful to anyone. And we just came up with this very silly idea to put a pink frosted donut around a penis, to customize, to like limit penetration depth. And we were like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. But actually, wait a second. Um, and
That's wild. I have a question. Does a penis actually fit through a donut?
It's so funny. I do not suggest this, but I ordered all these like stress foam donuts, and some had
Okay.
like
Yeah.
sprinkles on them, and it's like my partner at the time looked like a dessert buffet. Um, it was,
Okay.
but to
Did it
be
fit?
fair,
I have to ask, does it fit through that? I mean, like a regular donut, would it fit in a donut? I don't even
I
know.
haven't tried. I mean, it depends if it's a yeast donut or a cake donut. Like yeast, I imagine's got more like flexibility to it. I
I'm
have.
gonna get back. I'm gonna get back to you on this one because we have a Dunkin' Donuts like 6 blocks away, and I have a
I have not
wonderful
tried.
partner. So,
You
yeah, I'll get
know,
back to you on this.
there's got to be a serious cleanup crew before any type of sexual intercourse. after that. But
Yep. It's
hey,
called
if you're
food play. Jeff and I have done a whole show on food play, so it's all good. It's all good.
great, great, I love it.
Okay. So, all right. So get from the car ride about like, is this, are we talking like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, or how long ago was the car ride?
Like about 10 years ago, it was like 2017.
Okay.
Um,
Was the friend in the car a designer, or are you a
no,
designer?
no, I actually have no background in anything related to what I do now. Um,
Okay.
like product design, manufacturing, business. Like, I talk to so many founders who have been to business school and they've raised God money.
Exactly.
We actually
Yeah.
haven't raised any money. What's beautiful about the way that our company has grown is that because we are patient founded and because it's been always like immensely critical to me to have clinical support, like to have
Yeah.
that clinical validation, to have clinical trustworthiness, to like recommend trustworthy tools.
Yeah.
We've grown very sustainably
Hmm.
without having to just like burn gobs of money. And we still own 100% of the company. And it's been a really encouraging ride. We can get into like, I started going to medical conferences, but back to like the car ride. Uh,
Yeah.
I will say,
So,
yeah,
okay. So when you have an idea, we all have ideas every day. How did you turn your idea into
yeah,
reality?
yeah. I mean, truthfully, it's like this. I had this big elephant in the room that I was ashamed of and never talked about for my entire life. And the second that I felt like I had that I like I had a sense of ownership for the first time. I tried this very like rudimentary bumper
Yeah.
concept. And when it worked, it wasn't just this like, oh, I'm not in pain anymore. It was like, I have been blaming myself for a lifetime and I am not
Mhm.
blaming myself anymore. Like, this isn't my fault and I can do something about it. And I have permission to feel good.
Mhm. Mhm.
From there, I was like unstoppable. I would like tell every single person in my entire existence that like I have painful sex and I came up with this crazy idea to put a donut around a penis. And the thing is, I was so excited to talk about it that
Yeah.
people met my enthusiasm with like curiosity and questions, and they felt permission to have their own conversation about pain during sex for the first time themselves. And so like this conversation didn't just like start and stop, it spread. And people,
Awesome.
like, I went to my local art store to figure out how to make these. I researched silicone. I bought like a vacuum degasser because bubbles are the enemy.
Okay.
Like,
Good. Good
like,
to know.
but it was these moments like I would be at the checkout counter buying silicone, and the woman's like, "What are you making?" And I told her honestly, like, I'm working on a product for people who have pain during sex, and she like literally went blank, wrote her
Uh-huh.
phone number on a piece of paper, and was like, "Please call me when it's ready."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It was like these
Wow.
moments of absolute vulnerability and eagerness
Mhm.
and enthusiasm, like all of that just like kicked into high gear. And this thing had legs before I even knew what it was.
So where does one buy silicone?
You can buy silicone at your local art store. It's actually
Art
quite,
store. Okay.
yeah,
All
you can
right.
get like,
So,
yeah,
all right. So then there's these things that you can like little tiny models, like engineers have ability to go into labs and key in what they want to make, and the machine spits out a model of that. Did you do something like that?
I 3D printed like a
Yeah,
shell,
that's what I was
like
trying to
a
say. 3D
casing, and then I
printed.
had to
Yeah.
create like a
Uh-huh.
funnel to pour it in, and again the thing is I would end up with air bubbles everywhere,
Okay.
so it
Okay.
wouldn't function properly. So I had to get the vacuum degasser, which is like a small engine and like a giant soup pot that pressurizes the air bubbles up and out. Anyways, it was an exciting time. My kitchen was like
Absolutely.
had like all these sticky boogers for a while.
So how many iterations till you came up with the final, like, I don't know, 20, 250? How many iterations of this before you actually had a product that felt right, was the right size, was the right distensibility, etc.?
Yeah, three. It took three versions to get it right.
All right.
And I am of the mind that I want to create tools, again, that are trustworthy to patients, but also trustworthy to clinicians. So as soon as I got a viable prototype that linked together beautifully, that was stretchy and not too heavy,
Mhm.
I did a lot of material investigation. As soon as all of that was solidified and I felt proud to show, like, it's, and I had people test it and I got wonderful feedback. It was when I started going to medical conferences.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So, more for our listeners now. What we're talking about is Emily's very first invention that's called the OhNut. And it is a medical device, but it's also available without a medical prescription. You can buy one today if you like. And it's the goal of this, I'm sure you figured this out by now, is to decrease the big finish pain. You know what I'm talking about if you have had penis and vagina sex, or maybe dildo and vagina sex. There's a finish at the end when everyone's getting pretty hot and bothered, and it can get really, really poundy at the end. And that kind of deep pain is called collision, like colliding, collision dyspareunia. And there's a kind of a thought here that it probably affects 10 to 20, if not more percent of all women at some point in their life. Most everybody you talk to has been through it at least once, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But unfortunately, there are some people that go through it every time they make love, or every time they make love in a certain position. So
Mhm.
before we get into that, we're going to ask Vic to put the slide back up of the OhNut, and Emily, you can explain what it looks like, and then I'll show you one in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I have one. We can
Oh, okay,
go to
great,
town
perfect.
together.
Okay,
I'll let you demonstrate. But basically, OhNut is a set of 4 modular rings that are very stretchy. I'll just show you like how stretchy they are. They can stretch about 16 inches wide. I can put it around my. I'm just going to do it. I can put it around
yeah.
my head.
So I've
Basically,
never ever met a male member that is as big as a person's head. So
yeah.
let's move on.
I
Okay.
mean, it doesn't fit. We have a different issue. But anyways,
Yeah.
basically, these rings are worn at the base of a penetrating partner, and then during penetrative sex, they can press down like a bumper. They can also be worn on a dilator or a dildo,
Yeah.
not necessarily only on penis.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
but rings can be added or removed at any time during any position to control exactly how much goes in a way that feels good for both partners. The succinct way, we've been saying this for so long. It took us 7 years to figure this out, but the succinct way of saying it is that OhNut is designed to limit penetration depth in a way that feels good for both partners.
All right. So my question is, why? I'm not sure I buy. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm not
Right.
sure I buy the part about it feels good for the wearing partner. How
Mhm.
did you test that?
Years of testing. Well, we actually, interestingly enough, we had a smaller size, and then we just discontinued that and went exclusively with the wider size.
Hmm.
The feedback that we hear is that it feels like you're going all the way in without worrying about going too far.
Right.
Right.
So the wearing partner truly does feel good because his or her experience of going in feels
Yeah.
like they're all the way in. Correct? Am I
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And the receiving partner does not feel like they're all the way in, but is very pleasantly surprised that she's not crying out in pain. Am I correct?
Well, and you get like the motion of the ocean back. You can kind
Yeah.
of like, once you establish that layer of safety. The cool thing about these is that both partners feel that sense of security, knowing how deep it is or isn't going to go. And
Yeah.
then both people can relax and you can feel your body and you can feel your partner's body and then just enjoy each other without
Yeah.
all that noise, you know?
Yeah. So my question is this: if the OhNut is on, you said that this is a dildo with wearing two OhNuts right now. Okay, so I'm going to move this one up so you all can see. The design of this is really brilliant because there's the ring that stops him or her, the wearing partner, from slipping in by mistake. A, and B, there's this really nice shock absorber ring here, which when the big finish is happening, hang on for a second. Okay. When the big finish is happening, it doesn't move, it doesn't dislodge, and it takes the shock absorbing into the base of this, not into the top of it. So it's pretty awesome, actually. It's a great design, Emily. Absolutely great design. Has there been, like, when you get feedback from the wearing partner, which I imagine you get some feedback? I've got tons of it, so I'll give you some of mine in a minute.
Yeah.
But when you get feedback from the wearing partner, what kind of feedback does the wearing partner give you?
Oh, I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's like, my partner wants to have sex for the first time in our relationship,
Mm-hmm.
or my partner enjoyed themselves for the, like, after 2 years since we've had a baby.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's just these like some deep, deep gratitude about having a relationship that they're enjoying, and a person like there's like a sense of self and a
Mm-hmm.
sense of the relationship in a lot of the feedback that we get.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you're kind of making happy couples one at a time. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, listen, it's like it's hard to. I mean, obviously, everyone should see a clinician in some capacity, be it a sexual medicine specialist, vulvar specialist, pelvic PT, you name it. Like everyone, obviously, go see a specialist if possible, or a GYN who can refer you to one. And then when it comes to OhNut specifically, OhNut can help you have comfortable sex while you're addressing root cause with um, a really beautiful clinician who wants to help. Not all clinicians are created equal, I will say. And if someone is ignoring the pain, like find another doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's talk about things that make women have collision dyspareunia. So you can start and I'll chime in. Like conditions, you said root cause. There's a couple out there that are very
There's
highly suspect.
Yeah, we see a lot of people with like deeper root
Endometriosis, right?
endometriosis, sorry.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Like people who've had hysterectomies, any kind of like bladder or like that's like referred rectal pain can
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of adhesion from any kind of like gynecological surgery, again, or endometriosis. Um, Deeper pelvic floor dysfunction could also be problematic there. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, like you said bowel things, but like IBS, people like IBS is almost ubiquitous. Everybody says, "Oh, I have that. I have that too."
Yeah.
But sometimes when your tummy's not right and IBS is gurgling around, deep thrusting is not exactly what feels the best. Sometimes when positionally speaking, when the receiving partner has her legs up by her ears, that's pretty deep. That's
Yeah.
really, really deep. And so that might be a reason to put 4 of those rings on the penetrating partner so that you can enjoy that position without going, "Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. The pain is coming any minute."
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I see a lot of women who, when we talk about this, it's like their eyes light up. They're so excited about it. But here's the next piece of my question for you. How to bring it up with a partner. This is the most common thing that I hear. So take it away, Emily.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing that is the biggest thing that we get as well. Um, Basically, kind of framing it in a way that OhNut feels good for everybody. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing where again we get the motion of the ocean back. I can relax, you can relax. We can just kind of go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other thing also is that OhNut is very multi-purpose. So you're going to want to use So okay, first of all, use 4 rings. Always start with 4. People have this tendency
Yeah.
to want to start with 1, and like
Mm-hmm.
just set yourself up for success. Use 4. If it feels ridiculous, it's going to feel kind of squishy. Like, just kind of get into it and hang out there. Like there's no pressure to use less, right? You're going to want to use lube. Lube is your best friend. I swear, lube, I would say, is like the greatest sex toy of all time. Everyone should use it every time. Um, and I totally went blank on the question that you. Oh, how
The
to?
question is how to bring this up with a partner. So, okay, I just visited Dr. Kellogg at the
Yeah.
clinic, and she gave me this handout and asked, and actually, we actually often order, the patient and I sit and order it right there in the room together
Amazing.
very often.
Cool.
So sometimes the patient waits till it arrives in the mail, but other times they're really excited. So they want to bring it up and they want to talk to their partner. So
Yeah.
once again, the question is, how do you bring it up?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's coming from a place of possibility instead of
Mhm.
like, I am broken. I have this thing that's like an
Yeah.
aid that
Yeah.
we have to use in the bedroom. It's like, oh my gosh, here's this thing that's designed exactly for what's going on for
Yeah.
me. And we can try it out. And there's all different kinds of ways to use it. And then we could just like see where it goes.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about OhNut is that like it's where oftentimes when there's like deep dyspareunia, for example, like there's kind of a silence or like this like guarding or
Mhm.
anticipatory like
Mhm.
response.
Mhm.
um, when you incorporate this unbiased third party, like these stretchy OhNut rings into the bedroom, all of a sudden there's a dialogue like, hey, let's add a ring. Let's take one away. Ooh, let's try that position. How
Yeah.
does this feel? There's like very basic, beautiful questions that
Hmm.
unlock so much um, just like peace of mind and excitement and presence in the moment. And I feel like
Yeah.
when it's explained from that perspective, it's like, why wouldn't you want to do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So, very similar to how do I talk to my partner about it for clinicians is how do I talk to my patient about this?
Yeah.
And so it is with that same excitement and anticipation. And did you know that there is a sexual aid that is just exactly for the things that you just told me happen and that deep pain and again we very affectionately call it the big finish when we're talking in the clinic because that's a girlism what girls all understand that vibe there and so we'll talk about that this will allow you to reintroduce a loving comfortable sexual life and a dialogue around that life. Would you be willing to try this? So I asked my patient, would you be willing to try it at least
Mm,
one time? You have priced it very, very well. So it's not like it's $800 to try for one time. It's a very, very affordable. We'll talk about that later. But that's what the thing is, would you be willing to try this? And so then when
mm.
they're talking to their partner, they say, will you be willing to try this at least one time? Because the product does sell itself after it's tried one time. It does.
I love
Your
that.
point about sorry, about putting 4 rings on. Like if I put these on this is quite a large member, but that's okay. If
Also,
I put,
lube. Yeah,
yeah,
when there's
lube,
lube,
yeah,
they
there'd be
lube
lube on
works.
this, but there's 2 rings on here. But if I put another 2 rings, I really want to show them this visual. That might be the only part, just that part of what actually would be penetrating
Hmm.
the person, and the rest would be the spongy part. So it's so non-threatening, a little tiny thing, but again, the very important part of this is that the wearing partner feels as though they're quite securely all the way in. Am I correct?
Yes,
Got it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the OhNut. I think we got to get moving because we're going to talk about the next thing. So that was in 2018. This was introduced to the market. It took the market by storm. If your clinician has not discussed this with you and you think it would be a good idea, you don't need a doctor's order for it. You might want to educate your clinician about it, but don't be afraid to order it. And certainly don't be afraid to reach out to the pelvic people because you do have people that answer phone calls and emails and things like that. Am I correct?
We have, I will say, like for all the like AI shenanigans that are happening, we have the most lovely customer service team because
Good.
people come to us not in the best of times, but in the worst of times. And it's really important that every single person feels like they're being supported.
Yeah, and so
So
and you don't want to feel like you're talking to a bot about painful
no,
collision sex. You just don't want to talk to a bot. So
ever.
congrats to you. Okay, so that was in 2018. And so OhNut is for when, just to recap, it's for when people have collision dyspareunia or pain at for deep, deep, deep penetration or deep thrusting. That's at the end of the vagina. But what about people who have pain at the very beginning of play? That's pain right there at the very, very opening of the vagina, also called superficial dyspareunia or entry dyspareunia. Well, Emily came up with an answer for that too. And let's bring up the next slide. And Emily, if you'll introduce this, please.
Yeah.
There
So
there we go.
here we
Thanks.
are.
Okay.
So Kiwi, we have Kiwi. So Kiwi is a multi-purpose massage tool that is designed for folks who have pain at the vaginal opening. So it could feel like a burning, tearing, stabbing feeling. Ideally, what happens is you work with a doctor initially to kind of establish if that's like musculoskeletal in origin or if there's kind of like hormonal issues or nerve or inflammatory related issues. Kiwi addresses is the musculoskeletal component. So when
Mhm.
there's that like guarding response or that the overactivity or hypertonicity of the pelvic floor, Kiwi is basically it's a multi-purpose massage tool that also feels good to use. It doesn't feel like a chore to use. We
Excellent.
found, yeah. Oh, sorry, you go. If you have.
No, no, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, I would say like they're dilators and wands, bless them. They're useful. People love them. They're effective, and the more tools, the better. And what we really wanted to do differently with Kiwi was take into account the psychological component, because
Mhm.
people often come in like white knuckling this goal to put something inside their body, And
Yeah.
when it comes to the toolkit at home, that is not where you start. Like,
Mhm.
absolutely not. People, there's almost this feeling of like we have to start with the scariest thing, and we don't. We really
Mhm.
don't. And there's so much of our body, like broader areas that contribute to pelvic floor tension, and we can start in those broad areas. We can introduce like. I'm sorry, I'm going to get carried away, but
That's okay. Go ahead.
um, basically just to demonstrate the product itself. So this is a shallow entry piece, but there's also a piece that has that encourages clitoral stimulation. So
Mhm.
what you can do is you can have that very shallow entry work, that doesn't go in too far, but it still works the superficial pelvic floor muscles, the outermost pelvic floor muscles. And because you're introducing clitoral stimulation optionally, only if you want to, what it does is it kind of overrides that fear response that has been ingrained maybe for a longer period of time.
Mhm.
Um, and again, you can use, there's 3 different massage ends that you can use in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different places on the body, again, so that we don't have to start with penetration.
Excellent. So one of to bring this to a clinical space, oftentimes I'm working with patients and they come in and they're already, I mean, I see patients who have seen 9 providers before sometimes, and they're already coming in with a giant dilator like this, and they're trying to get it all the way in to stretch their muscles. When in fact, this is not always the case, but often the case, when I'm doing a pelvic floor examination, I find that honestly, I don't have a vagina here, but I'm making one here. So I find that their muscles that are sore are just right at the very opening. Literally, my finger is in that far before I feel that tight muscle. And if I were to pass through the opening and go really far back, this is not the deep pain. This is the superficial pain we're talking about. Those back muscles are just fine. Thank you very much. It's the very front muscles that are sore. And the Kiwi is designed just for that eventuality. And, there's no reason you can't use a Kiwi and a dilator, or a Kiwi and a wand, or a
Mhm.
Kiwi and pelvic floor physical therapy.
Exactly.
But it
Yeah.
certainly is a space in the marketplace that needed to be filled. And congratulations, you filled it quite nicely. And so the Kiwi, a couple of things. Let's talk about when the Kiwi wouldn't feel so great. You want to take away on that one?
Yeah, I mean, if I mean, to get like clinical with it, if you've got like hormonally mediated vestibular pain, we're
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
different root cause. Um,
yeah.
so I will say, just like as like a umbrella statement, oftentimes when they're, regardless of the root cause, when you have prolonged pain that goes unaddressed, there's this kind of fear response cycle that starts to occur,
Mhm.
and as a result, that guarding, that muscle tension can coincide with that root cause. So they're kind of 2 separate things to be addressed.
Mhm.
But oftentimes pelvic floor hypertonicity goes hand in hand.
Okay. And so a minute ago, we talked about the muscles at the very opening. There's also beautiful mucous membrane tissue, like beautiful pink, stretchy tissue at the opening of a vagina. And if the tissue is inflamed, even though the Kiwi is very non threatening to look at, if the tissue is inflamed, just as if my cheek were inflamed, it wouldn't feel good even if I pressed it really gently, would it? So if the Kiwi feels like it's hurting the skin, then that is another issue altogether, and one that really needs to be looked at by a healthcare provider to work in tandem with you. Because once that pain gets under control, if you have a secondary tightness in the muscles, that's what this is for. It's for that secondary tightness in the muscles right at the opening. So really
Absolutely.
good to have that kind of under control.
Yeah.
Before we talked about collision dyspareunia, that's 10 to 20% of all women. Penetrative dyspareunia or superficial dyspareunia. We're talking about up to 26, even more than that percent of women. Women of all ages, women after menopause, women who are just starting their sexual journey, women who just had a baby. So these are important issues. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, that's me, you're not alone. It's more common than you think. Somebody that you probably work with has it. Somebody that, is in the waiting room next to you definitely has it. Please bring it up to your provider. If you're not getting the right answers, as Emily pointed out, please find the people who
Yeah.
work with sexual medicine, sexual pain, or pelvic floor muscle dysfunction,
There
right?
was one study that said, I think it was by Debbie Herbernick, that 1 out of 3 people, like women, were in pain the last time that they had sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
That's
is
true.
just way more common. And that's only people who report it, right? These numbers
Yeah.
are likely much higher and they're just
Yeah.
all over the map.
Yeah.
What's interesting about Kiwi though is that so we went to Dutch Design Week because our designer of Kiwi is Dutch. And there was a woman who came up to us and she was like, but it doesn't look like a penis. And it was like, well, yeah.
Right. That's the point,
That's
right?
the
Exactly.
point.
Yeah.
So much of the focus is on how deep and how much and just like being able to tolerate, quote, tolerate something inside the body
Yeah.
when in
Yeah.
fact it does not have to be that deep to downregulate the nervous system and
Yeah.
create positive associations with touch, right?
Yeah.
Like tools are literally only helpful if you want to use them. So
Yeah.
motivation is a critical piece of
Yeah.
a tool being useful. So because Kiwi can be so multi-purpose, right? You can use it in all these different massage ways, for trigger point release, for muscular release. You can use it with a partner. You can use it by yourself. Um,
Hmm.
it just kind of changes with your needs. You can use it for enjoyment. You can use it therapeutically. It changes with your needs over time. So, people oftentimes feel like, oh, I have to buy this thing for this thing that's broken right now. It's like,
Yeah.
well, actually, here's a tool that can move and shake with you over time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's not intimidating and it meets you where you are.
Exactly. Okay, so we talked about the fact that you can use the OhNut on a dildo or a dilator or a vibrator, and you can use the Kiwi with yourself, with your partner. Now let's talk about, and I think this is not an elephant in the room, but I just want to spell it out. Emily, can a male who has sex with men use both of these devices?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Oh my
All
gosh.
right.
It's so interesting. The answer is 1,000% yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I should say this on the air, but we've gotten a lot of feedback that we use genderless language on the website because it is
Mhm.
important that people of all genders feel included.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like women's health has been so ignored, so we bridge like the in between, and try not to be too gendered towards women.
Yeah.
Um, but yes,
Good.
absolutely. You can use OhNut for anal sex. You can use Kiwi rectally, especially even if you do have a vagina, you could still use Kiwi rectally if that's where you want
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, go to town.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So Vic just put up the pelvic people web address. So please hop on and take a look at these products. You can order them, and again, you don't need a prescription. You can order them, and the people in your customer service area will help you if you're having difficulty kind of navigating it, and certainly educate your partners and educate your clinicians about these if they don't know about them. I recommend these products all the time, and the deer in the headlight look was like, why hasn't anybody talked to me about this before? So we
Yeah.
still got a little bit more education to go out
Yeah.
there among everyone. Okay, so we're going to start to wrap up here, and we'll be back right at the end of the show in a minute. But first, Vic is going to tell us what's on next week.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness and encourage informed conversations about screening and diagnosis. In this special episode, Dr. Jeff welcomes Jeremy Patch and Victoria Vigetto from Zero Prostate Cancer to discuss the many ways education, support, advocacy, and community can make a difference throughout the prostate cancer journey. This conversation is particularly meaningful to Dr. Jeff, who facilitates a monthly Zero Prostate Cancer support group through Gilda's Club and will once again participate in the 2026 Chicago Zero Prostate Cancer Run or Walk. Don't miss this special episode on September 8th at 7 p.m. Central Time.
All right, that's lovely. So we're going to go for zero painful sex, right, Emily? I think that should be our campaign. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good
Oh,
deal.
it's so funny.
Okay, final
Yeah.
thoughts, final words tonight, Emily. Any special, do you want to think for a minute and I'll think of something?
You said something and I was like, oh, let's run with that. But we have 1 minute. Yeah, I mean, I just think at the end of the day, what the toolkit that we're creating, you have a world that's very established of sex toys that really kind of forces people towards pleasure and orgasm and even performance, especially when painful sex is on the table, right? Orgasm is sometimes, or just like that pressure to feel pleasure can be too much. And then on the other hand, you have kind of this world of medical devices that can oftentimes feel like we're being punished by needing them in the first place. And what we're working to do here is just to create a toolkit that feels friendly and trustworthy, and motivating to use. And as a patient-founded company with like all the clinical backing in the world, we care about like every single person, whether or not you want to buy something. If you just find out about our company and feel validated because these tools exist in it, and what you're experiencing is a very real thing for the first time, like that's equally as important to us. We're not here to just like sell garbage.
Understood. These are also, we should point out, these are latex free.
Yeah.
And so people with latex allergies can use them proudly. And they should be used with lube. A little point, if you don't know this, is you shouldn't use silicone lube with a silicone product. You should water-based lube with a silicone product. So really important to use a water-based lubricant. And there's plenty of them on the market. And so you can actually talk to your clinician. You could ask the pelvic people when they answer the phone. You can ask your clinician too.
Right.
So my last...
No, I don't have time to read the letter.
Sure. Go for it.
Okay, real fast. Oh my gosh. Okay, so basically with the packaging, it's like when I wrote the packaging for OhNut, I basically wanted it to say all of the things that I needed to hear when I felt at my worst. And so the packaging was just written with a lot of heart. Anyways, I watched the Mr. Rogers documentary, which I highly recommend, and then wrote this letter. It says, "You made it. A big congratulations, not only on your new OhNut, but also on all the hard work that led you here. The journey is never easy. I tell you with my full heart, you are sexy exactly the way you are. You're a problem solver, a shoulder to lean on, a spreader of joy. You put a lot of love out there, and you deserve to live that love you share. So in the spirit of curiosity, embrace adjustment, awkward moments, and small mighty victories. And know deep down, but not too deep, that you're doing great. Now go play. All of my love, Emily."
Awesome. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And with that, we'll say goodnight, everyone. Thank you for listening.
As Dr. Jeff talks about sex.